everybody, how are you all doing today? Welcome back to another one of my sessions of Blender slash Krita. If you're watching the video, then you're just looking at you're just looking at the Blender part of things. Hopefully that music's not too loud. Let me know if it is. Actually, I might as well lower it manually. It is out on my headset. And I'm worried that it might be too loud for you guys to hear me. I actually skip this ambient one. I don't expect that one to be like that. Okay, now this is better. Anyways. In these streams I do every Tuesdays is where I learn how to use Blender and Krita, and then I just separate it into separate videos for later uploading them onto YouTube for those that only care of one or the other. Before I switch over to the overlay, a little bit of sellout. Down in the description below, you will find links to the power shop where you can get energy mixes, steep mixes, hydration, shakers, and even stickers. And if you use creator code BLACKHEART, you will get a 10% discount and help support the channel in the process. So anyways, do let me know if the volume of the music is too loud, but I'm gonna hop on over into the documentation side of things and begin going through it. Last time on Blender, on the wrong one, sorry about that. I have both set up this time, I just need to later set up the Krita one. Last time we left off on frame nodes. I still don't know how these nodes work yet, since I haven't gotten to that part. And we shall see how much of it I actually use. I am looking forward to actually reach the part where it's more hands-on, but I won't quite get to that until I kind of understand what I'm actually getting into. And hopefully remember everything that I go through. Anyways, frame node. The frame node is a useful tool a useful tool for organizing nodes by collecting related nodes together in common area frames are useful when the node setup becomes as large and confusing, yet the reusability of the node group is not required. Oh, just in case for those who hear like any a little background noise, that's probably my fan. I hope my music actually is blocking that noise from my fan. It is a very hot day for me today. I'm not slowing that thing down or turning it off. I do see myself using this when I get to the whole use node stuff, to know what's what. If I don't, I know I'm gonna struggle finding things. Properties. Label size, font size of the label, for example, for subordinate frame to have a smaller title. Shrink once a node is placed in the frame shrinks around it so as to remove wasted space. At this point, it is no longer possible to select the edge of the frame to resize it. Instead, resizing occurs automatically when nodes within the frame are rearranged. This behavior can be changed by disabling this option. I guess it's talking about like this, like you have a node group within another, like a node frame within another one, and this size will be dependent on this and what's in there. That's what I'm guessing. Text. When you need to display more comprehensive text, frame nodes can display the content of the text data block. This is really only so you will need to use the text editor to modify the contents. Sorry if I struggle with a few words. That's because English is not my main language. It's my second language. Editing. Join in new frame. In menu nodes, join in new frame or Control J. Make a new frame including the selected node. Add to frame. Control P. Once a frame node is placed, nodes can be added by dropping them onto the frame or by selecting the node, then the frame, and using Control P. This can be thought of as parenting the selection to the frame. Remove from frame. Node remove frame from the menu or Alt P. To remove nodes from a frame, select and use Alt P. This can be thought of as unparenting the selection of the frame. And we're back to the weird looking cat image. I can't help but laugh when I see that. Okay, let's carry on. Let's try not to look at the funny cat. Reroute node. A node used primarily for organization. Reroute looks and behaves much like a socket on the nodes, in that it supports one input connection while allowing multiple output connections. To quickly add a reroute node into an existing connection, hold Shift and right mouse button while sweeping across to link across the link to add a reroute node. So I'm guessing it's referring to this, like originally went down here but then it got rerouted up this way. Same deal on this one. Try not to look at the funny cat because I'm gonna just burst into laughter again. Properties, input values used to unconnect sockets. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and I guess that is it for nodes. Hopping on over to tool system, and this one looks to be a little bit lengthy. Well, let's hope not. At least the bar doesn't look that lengthy. Who knows? Maybe some of these are significantly shorter. Okay, tools. Tools are accessed from the toolbar. This is a general instructions to tools. Individual tools have their own documentation. There can only be one active tool, which is stored for each space and mode. Makes sense. Tools may set their own key, which overrides other keys, although typically they use the left mouse button, sometimes with modifier keys. Key maps can be edited from the preferences. Some tools define gizmos shear and spin, for example, to help control the tool. Guessing once I get to the actual what each tool does, at least I'm hoping it's a bit more practical. Like, you have access to this stuff, now use this tool to do something to it, or to create something yourself. Hello there, Okami, how you doing? Toolbar, I think I'm gonna skip this because I think I already read about the toolbar on a different section. Let's just read just in case. The toolbar shows buttons for each tool. For tool buttons, each have a small triangle in the bottom right corner. The pop-up menu will be revealed when you left mouse button drag, so that you can select the other tools of the same group. So, like, I don't know if it's visible, but there is like a tiny arrow on the corner of these two. We meet again. Oh well. It's good to hear. Hovering your cursor over the tool for a short time will show its name, while hovering longer will show the full tooltip. That is good to know for when I'm trying to, like, I forget about a certain tool and I'm trying to, like, locate it. If I hover over it long enough, it'll tell me what it's for. That is good to know, especially since I'm pretty sure I'm gonna struggle because I am no artist, but I do want to learn this stuff. I am hoping, but at least by the end of 2024, I have at least 2 things made from Blender and or Krita, whichever. Since this is a 1 day a week thing, I'm not gonna set the bar too high. Resizing the toolbar horizontally will display the icon with 2 columns. Expanding it further will display the icon and its text. Pop-up toolbar, shift spacebar. You can switch tools with a toolbar that will pop up at the location of your cursor after pressing shift spacebar. This is going to be very handy and probably something I'm going to use a lot. The shortcuts for selecting the tool are displayed on the right. Alternatively, you can map this action to spacebar in the preference. Then you will be able to use spacebar like a modifier key, similar to pressing Ctrl or Shift. Space D for transform, space D for annotate. Why do I always struggle with this word? Spacebar M for measure, etc. And why D for annotate? Why not A? I mean, it's a capital A. I mean, why not A? See spacebar actions, which is probably somewhere along the way. Probably once they get you more the tool description of what they do. Quick favorites, hotkey Q. Probably put whatever I see myself using a lot. The quick favorite menu, gather your favorite tools. Any tool or menu you can be added to this pop-up menu via the context menu of buttons and menu. Changing tool. Pressing Alt opens the tool prompt shown in the status bar for changing the active tool. Pressing Alt again closes the prompt. Tools can be changed by pressing the appropriate icon or by pressing Alt, then pressing the hotkey assigned to the desired tool. YouTube, did you just pause my music again? No, it just bugged. The player just bugged out again. Well, this is gonna be like a very long one on this one. If it's good enough for the background ambient sound. Don't let me know if it's loud. What did I leave off again? Alright, I think it was this. Fallback tool. The fallback tool is the default tool in the toolbar, as in the tool at the top of the list. To switch to this tool, use Alt W. To open the pie menu, to choose what the default drag action does. Cycling tool, if you bind a key to a tool which is part of a group, you can enable the cycle option in the key map editor. Successive presses will cycle through the tools on that group. I don't think I'll rely too much on that because I see myself making a lot of mistakes when doing that. I'd rather just manually select them. At least until I can get the hang of what's what. Properties tools can have their own settings which are available for multiple from multiple places. The sidebar tool active tool panel, the active tool tab in the properties, and the tool setting region. Undo and redo. The control C to undo. Redo, I actually don't remember what button it was. The tool listed below will let you roll back an accidental action. I'm gonna be doing that a lot, I guarantee it. Redo your last action, or let you choose to recover to a specific point, picking from a list of recent actions recorded by Blender. That's actually useful. I say you made several things to it, but I don't like any of it. I just want to go back to it before I added several of those things. I do see that being very useful. Undo, classical, Control C. That reverts back to your last action. Redo, Shift Control C. That actually didn't know what the buttons were. But then it varies from software to software, I guess. To roll back the undo action in case you accidentally undid something you didn't want to. Adjust last operation. F9. I didn't expect to read that button, but then again, I rarely ever use the F keys. After an operation is complete, you can tweak the parameters of the operation afterwards in editors that support it. There is a head-up display panel in the bottom left based on the last platform operation, dependent on mode and context. Alternatively, you can create a pop-up with F9 which does the same thing. I'll probably rely on that more. I feel like on the pop-up I'll be able to see more of what I may be looking for. For example, if your last operation was a rotation, a rotation in object mode, Blender will show you the last value changed for the angle. See figure rotation object mode 60 degrees, which this down here. When you can change your action back completely by typing number pad 0, of which I'm not going to because that's where my some of my shortcuts are at. There are other useful options based on the operator. and you cannot undo actions, but change them completely using the available options. If you're in editing mode, Blender will also change its content based on your last action taken. In the second example on the right, the last operation was a move in object mode, but a scale on the face in edit mode, and as you can see, the context of adjust last operations are different because of the edit mode. That's all edit mode. See if you scale modes, resize, that's probably somewhere else. Which it would be better if it was like side to side what actually changes. This doesn't really tell me much. Okay, tips. Some operations produce a partially useful result by using a just last operation. For example, adding a circle in a 3D viewport. If you reduce the vertices to 3, you get a perfect equilateral triangle. Tip, the adjust last operation region can be hidden by view adjust last operation. Let me drink some water real quick. We all gotta stay hydrated. Undo history. Oh, that's just what I would probably want to actually know. Just a menu, no shortcut key. There is also an undo history of the last action taken, recorded by Blender. The top of the list corresponds to most recent actions. A small icon of the dot and next to one of the entries indicates the current status. Rolling back action using the undo history features will take you back to the action you choose. Much like how you can alternate between going backwards in time with undo and then forwards with redo, you can hop around on the undo timeline as such as you want, as long as you do not make a new change. Once you do have a new change, the undo history is truncated at that point. I guess what it means, like, okay, you roll back a few steps and then you make a change there, then everything that you undid just ceases to exist. That's what I'm understanding. Selecting one of the entries in the list makes the current status to that position. Repeat last, Shift R. The repeat last feature will repeat your last action when you press Shift R. In the example image below, we duplicate a monkey mesh, and then we moved the object a bit using the repeat Shift R. The monkey was also duplicated and moved. Now that's a familiar monkey head. Repeat history. The repeat history feature will present you a list of what repeated actions and you can choose the action you want to repeat. It works in the same way as you as the undo history explained above, but the list contains only repeated actions. Important: when you quit Blender, the complete list of used actions will be lost, even if you save your file before quitting. There's also troubleshooting actions on recovering your lost work, which is probably somewhere later down the line or something. I'll look at it if I suddenly have a power outage and I lose stuff. But I will try and have the habit of like saving often. Annotate tool. The annotate tool is available in multiple editors. It can be used to add nodes to e.g. 3D objects or node setups. The annotation tool can be activated in the toolbar on the left side and on that side. It has a couple of subtools listed below. Annotate draws a freehand stroke in the main area. Annotate line, click and drag to create a line. Optionally, you can select the arrow style from the start and end of the line. Annotate polygon. Click multiple items to create multiple connected lines. The current polygon is finished when escape is pressed. I guess this is a way to like leave some kind of watermark on the 3D model, so as to keep it from being stolen and people having to actually pay to get the unwatermarked version of it. Style start end. The decoration to use at the beginning or end of a line segment. This can be used, for example, to create arrows to point out specific details on the scene. Why did my screen just try to go black all of a sudden? Maybe I need to readjust stuff to get more of my preview visible. There we go. And it's not obstructing chat. There we go. Sorry about that. Now take the eraser, click and drag to remove lines. The eraser has a radius setting found in Tool Setting Eraser. Settings. Common. There is a panel sidebar view annotation. In it, multiple annotation layers can be managed. Color, adjust the color of existing and new strokes. Thickness, adjust the thickness of existing and new strokes. Onion skin? Now this is the first I've heard this. Shows a ghosted image of the strokes made in frames before and after the current frame. Onion skinning only works in the 3D viewport and sequencer. See the Grace Pencil documentation for an explanation on onion skin. I guess once I get you that tool, I'll know exactly what this is about. Ghosted image. I guess it is some form of minor transparency, like again, like a watermark. Like you see it, but it's also kind of transparent. You can see through it. At least I think that's what it's referring to. Okay, I guess I'll know once I get you grazed pencil. Stabilize stroke helps to reduce jitter of the stroke while drawing by delaying the correcting the location of a point. I'll probably be using this for pretty much everything because I don't have a steady hand. I never did have a steady hand. That's probably why I draw so bad. Radius. A minimum distance from the last point before the stroke continues. Factor. A smooth factor where higher value results in smoother strokes, but the drawing sensation feels like as if you were pulling the stroke. 3D editor. When creating new annotations in the 3D viewport, there's one tool setting. Placement. The placement option determines where the line is drawn in 3D space. 3D cursor draws on the imaginary plane that goes through the 3D cursor and is aligned to your view. View draws in screen space instead of in 3D space. That means that the line will stay on the same position in the screen whenever the camera is moved or rotated. Okay, so one is, I feel like it's gonna be on the 3D object while the other is gonna be on your camera surface. Projects the line on the surface under the mouse. 2D editor. In 2D editor, the placement option does not exist. When the annotation tool is enabled, the settings for managing multiple layers can be found in the tool's active tool panel in the right side bar. Why does placement not exist for this? I know, yeah, it's 2D, you're looking at a 2D image, but I still feel like some form of placement might be necessary. I don't know why. Like, somebody knows, do explain it to me, or in the chat, or down the comments below if you're watching the video. And move on. Selecting. By default, Blender uses the left mouse button to select items in the Blender window. Alternatively, the right mouse button can be used instead by changing the preference. Blender has several selection tools that can be used across different editors. It is nice to use that for those that are used to one button or the other. It just, who uses right mouse button to select? I don't know anyone that does that uses the right mouse button to select. Normally I use the right mouse button to do like a little pop-up menu, not to select stuff. I can't imagine of anyone actually doing that. There's probably other people out there. It's just might be like very rare. Unless you left mouse button is actually not working, then yeah, then I would understand. Some hardware isn't cheap and it is extremely expensive for IM, so if my left mouse button were to die, I'll probably just configure it to the right and the right mouse button to one of the side buttons, because the mouse I have does have two side buttons. I don't know how I'll go about that, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. Selecting tools, tweak. Clicking on an item select set using modifier keys can perform other operations. Holding selection and moving the mouse will interactive on interactive items such as objects in the 3D viewport or keyframe on the animations editor will general move the item with the mouse. Box select, hotkey B. To activate the tool, press B or click on and drag left mouse button. With select box, you can draw a rectangle while holding down the left mouse button. Any item that lines every partially within this rectangle becomes selected. If the item that was last active appears in the selection, it will become active. For deselecting items, use middle mouse button or shift left mouse button. I will probably use middle mouse button to make it quicker. It's good that they show you how it looks like when you select it. Circle select. I know about this rectangular one, but circle select, that I've never seen that. Again. Let me have a quick look at my previews. Okay, now everything's going well, although because of a screen refresh, B-stream side kind of had a little bug, but I see why. Let's lower that a little bit. There we go. Circle select C allows you to select multiple items within a circular area. Move your mouse over any item that the circular area shows the dotted circle while holding left mouse button to select these items. Alternatively, use middle mouse button to deselect them, and when you are done selecting, press right mouse button or escape to change the diameter of the circle. Scroll with the wheel or use the numpad plus and numpad minus key. Okay, this is the first time I see a circle select, to be honest. I'm used to this one. This is the one I've seen many times before, but this is the first time I see the circle select. Weird. Lasso select. This I have seen when my brother was still going to college and had to do some Blender related stuff. I did see him use something like this, not just on Blender, but on Photoshop from his college account. I think Photoshop had a lasso select as well. I don't do Photoshop because I cannot pay for it. Control right mouse button. Lasso select is used to create a free form selection. Simply hold control and right mouse button while drawing dotted lines around the item you want to select. The shape you want is automatically closed by connecting the line from the current position back to the starting point. Lasso select adds to the previous selection for deselecting, of course, shift control right mouse button, or maybe the middle mouse button. Like you start drawing, just keep on going until you let go here and it automatically shuts it. Okay, that might be something I would use, especially like if it's want to select multiple items but there's something in the way, then yeah, we'll probably just use this. Selecting mode, and it says in tool settings mode. Each tool has some sort of mode to configure how to tool interacts with existing selection. This sounds wrong and confusing. Shouldn't it be how the tool interacts? No, how to tool interacts. That just sounds wrong somehow. I think this is just a spelling error right there. Note that not every selection tool supports each of the nodes. Sets a new selection ignoring any existing selections. Extend adds newly selected item to the existing selection. The selection can also be extended by shift left mouse button. Subtract removes newly selected item from the existing selection. Item can be removed from selections by shift left mouse button on our already selected item. Invert selects non-selected items and deselects existing selections. The selection can also be inverted by Control I. I can't think of a situation where you would use that, but I'm pretty sure there's gotta be a case when you would use invert. Intersect selects items that intersect with existing selection, and I think my audio bugged out again. There you go, YouTube. Don't pause the music automatically. Thank you. That ends the user interface. Now it moves over into the editor itself. Now will this get hands-on? I don't think so. Or maybe it could. I mean, there's plenty here, like just a general overview, animations, which I'm pretty sure I'm gonna struggle a little bit there. Scripting, not so much, although this is Python. And my knowledge of Python is very superficial. Maybe this will help me just expand a bit on what I already know, but well, at least hopefully it does. And the data, I don't know what exactly will be referring this, but we shall see. Blender provides a number of different editors for displaying and modifying different aspects of the data. Actually, how long have I been going now? Less than an hour. Yeah, let's keep on going for a while. I normally do these somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours, although it is really hot today, so I don't know how long I'm actually gonna go on. I do still need to leave time for Krita, which are roughly speaking 1 hour long streams. The 1 hour long session of the stream. Which will also have its own little separate video for those that don't really care about that part. And excuse you, God, did you suddenly drop another rain that wasn't even on the weather broadcast? Yep, it is raining again, and the weather broadcast said nothing about this. Actually, the broadcast said there wouldn't be any rains until Saturday. Hopefully, it is not too loud for you guys, and the YouTube music at least muffles that up to an extent, at least. And doesn't muffle me. So, let's carry on a little while longer, and hopefully the storm doesn't get too bad. At least I hope. At least it's just like a passerby rain, at least, and not something big. Lou, let me know if the rain becomes a problem, like, audio-wise. The editor type selector first button at the left side of the header allows you to change the editor in that area. Every area in Blender may contain any type of editor, and it's also possible to open the same type multiple times. Why would you do that? I don't know. I don't see the purpose of opening like, multiple of these. I do see probably a purpose if you have like one view where you see the entire thing you're making and a close-up view on a separate window. Then yeah, that would make sense. While you have the close-up making the changes, you can see the changes on the full view, sort of like what Krita has. I think that's a possibility from what I'm understanding from this. See user interface for documentation on the general interface, which we've already covered. So I missed it. There is its own little video on a playlist, which this is also going to. So I guess we'll just get started with this for a little while longer. Wait, did it just skip the entire thing just now? No, I'm still within the editor, which entered straight into the viewport, which... Oh? Wait, what? Let me go back real quick. Yeah, it goes straight into viewport, which is a lot to cover. Oh boy, I did not expect these to be that big. Let's hope we can get through them fast enough. Okay. The introduction to the 3D viewport. The 3D viewport is used to interact with the 3D scene for a variety of purposes, such as modeling, animating, texture painting, etc. At the region, the header contains various menus and controls based on the current mode. Tools and modes in 3D viewport header are split in 3 groups of buttons. Menu, mode and menus. Mode, the 3D viewport has several modes used for editing different kinds of data, which will probably later down the line. View, this menu offers tools to navigate in 3D space. Other menus depends on the current mode. Object mode menu listed below. Select contains the tools for selecting objects. Add gives a list of different object types that can be added to the scene. Objects, this menu appears when the object mode is in. It contains tools to edit objects. In edit mode, it will change to the appropriate menu with editing tools, which we haven't gotten to yet. Transform controls. Transform orientation used to select and modify the active transform orientation. Pivot point used to change the preference point or pivot point, used by many mesh manipulation tools. Read more on pivot points, which is by the looks of it later on ahead. Snapping controls the snapping tool that helps with transforming and modeling objects. Proportional edit, which has its own documentation. Why the hell is this here? So they could have put will be described with details further down the line instead of just and put this hash link there. Display and shading. Shading probably be the one that will use most of my resources probably. That's the part I'm still worried about when it comes to Blender, that my hardware will only be able to do so much. Object type visibility changes the object type visibility and selectability of objects in the 3D viewport. Viewport gizmos changes the way how gizmos are displayed in a 3D viewport. Viewport overlay changes the way how overlays are displayed on a 3D viewport. X-ray shows the whole scene transparent. This is a shortcut to X-ray options inside the shading controls. I can't think of why you would use X-ray, but I think I've seen people that do Blender use that before. I just can't remember why they were using it. If somebody does know, let me know down in the comments below if you're watching the video. If you're in chat, no, maybe describe it to me. Although it does look like it'll get explained further down the line. Viewport shading. Change the shading of the 3D viewport. Excuse me. Toolbar region. The toolbar is the context-sensitive region containing tools depending on the current mode. For example, modeling tools in edit mode, brush tools in sculpt mode. Sculpt mode. I think I've seen that on like when they do like behind the scenes of some games. I think I've seen what this is. I don't know how it works. I think I've seen something like that. See tools for more information, which we still haven't reached that point. Sidebar region. The sidebar region contains properties of the active object and selected object, such as their location, as well as properties of the editor itself. And is it loading? Okay, I think something broke. Okay, there we go. I kind of got scared a little bit because it was unloading. Let me drink something real quick. Startup scene, which I did show it the first time when we were when I first started. I had it open. I do have it open right now as well, but I'm not gonna put it on the main screen right now. But it is under the browser. I just need to shrink the browser capture section. After closing the splash, the startup scene is displayed in a 3D view if no other blend file was loaded. The customized startup scene can be saved as a part of the startup file. Elements. Cube. The gray cube in the center of the scene is a mesh object. Because the cube is selected, it is displayed with a large orange outline. Object origin. The origin of the object is displayed as an orange dot, and it makes the cube's relative position. I'm guessing it's talking about that dot right there. I thought that was a cursor selecting something, but I guess not. Light. The circles with a thin line to the bottom is a light source. Illuminating the cube. Light in general settings, which we have not gotten to that part. Camera. The pyramid, with a big triangle pointed upwards, is the camera used as a point of view from rendering. See also camera in cycles, which I'm going to. So from what I'm understanding, this is light and this is a camera. 3D cursor, a 3D cursor across with a red and white circle is used for placing objects in the scene. Red floor, the gray squares forming a floor marks the zero height of the world. The red and green lines are the axis of the world coordinate system. They meet at the origin, which is also the position of the cube. The grid floor settings are in the viewport overlay popover. In text info, the visibility and settings of the overlay can be set in the viewport overlay popover. And I think YouTube bugged out again with its music. Why did you automatically not only pause but you hang on. Let me set the next part of the playlist. Wait, what do you mean it's unavailable? There we go. Just a minor bug over on the YouTube playlist. Sorry about that. View name. If the viewport camera is not online, the view is named user plus the perspective of the viewport camera. Okay. Playback FPS displays the frames per second screen rate while playing an animation back. I guess considering my limited hardware, I can use that to test how much quality I can put on it and how many elements I can put on said objects that require animation. Object info shown in brackets in the current frame, followed by the path of the active object and the optionally the selected shape key, and in brackets the markers named on the current frame. The color of the object in info is set by the state colors keyframe only. Will that actually be visible here? I can see the grid, I can see the those lines. Oh, I don't see that last part. You see the name of the object up here, like it said, but in parentheses, not brackets. I guess later down I hope they show some kind of example or something along those lines. How long have I been going first before I continue? Let's go on for a little while longer. Object modes. Modes are an object-oriented feature, which means that the available modes vary depending on the selected active object type. Most of them only enable the default object mode, like cameras, lights, etc. Each mode is designed to edit an aspect of the selected object. See tab Blender modes below for details, which we have yet to get to. See the current mode in the mode selector for 3D viewport header. I guess it's like this right here. We have object mode. Wait, two object modes for some reason. Unless this is the active one, this is the selected one. Editor mode, sculpt mode, vertex paint, weight paint, texture paint. Okay. Hopefully they do describe. Okay, yeah, they do describe them down below. Modes can affect many things in Blender. They can modify the panel and or controls available in some properties and some property tabs. They can modify the behavior of the whole editor, like e.g. the UV editor and 3D viewport. They can modify the available header tools, menu and or menu entries, as well as the controls. For example, in the 3D viewport, the object menu in object mode changes to a mesh menu in editor mode, with an active mesh object and a paint menu in vertex paint mode. They can modify the available shortcuts. Object mode list. Object mode, the default mode available for all object types, as it's dedicated to object data block editing, e.g. position, rotation, and size. Edit mode, the mode available for all renderable object types, as it is dedicated to their shape, object data block, editing. There we go. Vertices, edges, face for the mesh, control points for curved surfaces, stroke points for grace pencil, etc. Sculpt mode, a mesh only mode that enables Blender's mesh 3D sculpting tool. I'm guessing someone will choose sculpting a statue or something. Vertex paint mode, a mesh only mode that allows you to set your meshes vertex colors, i.e. to paint them. Weight paint mode, now that's the first time I actually hear that. A mesh only mode dedicated to vertex group weighting. Texture paint mode, a mesh only mode that allows you to paint your mesh's texture directly on the model in the 3D view. Practice edit mode, a mesh only mode dedicated to a particle system, useful with editable system hair. Pose mode, an armature only mode dedicated to armature positioning. But what is armature? I never heard that term before. Is that like A posing, T posing, something like that? That's what I'm assuming. Draw mode, a grace pencil only mode dedicated to create grace pencil strokes, which we still haven't gotten to know what it is. Note the cursor becomes a brush in paint and sculpt mode. We will not go into any more details on mode usage here because they are dealt with in their own sections. That's good to know. I guess I'll know more detail about each of these modes elsewhere. At least later down the line that will be. Hint, if you read this manual and some buttons or menu options is reference that does not appear on your screen, it may be that you are not in the proper mode for the option to be valid. Multiple object editing. Edit and Compose mode supports editing for multiple objects at once. This is convenient if you want to perform the same effect on multiple objects, or what to animate, or want to animate multiple characters at once. To use edit multiple objects at once, simply select multiple objects and enter the mode. I guess this will be useful if you're making something with, like, that are similar to each other in some way. Like in the case of animation, you have like more than one enemy that uses the same form of, like, say, walking animation. Even though they look different, their walking cycles are the same. The outliner can also be used to add, remove objects while you are in a mode. Of which, give me a second, I just accidentally hit that. I did not mean to, because I wanted to fix YouTube right now. There we go. Where was I? Right here. By setting or clearing the mode from the context menu, there that my voice go, or control left mouse button clicking on the object data icon. Only the active object will be used to display properties such as shape, keys, UV layer, etc. Selecting any element from the object will set this as an active object. There are limits to the kinds of operations that can be run on multiple objects. You can't, for example, create an edge that was vertices from different objects. Vertices from different objects. Okay. Oh boy! So we did finish the object modes and straight into navigation already. Which again is somewhat long. Although I thought that this one would be even longer, but oh well. Let's see. Yeah, let's get around. I went through that much faster than I thought I would. Just let me drink some water because I kind of lost my voice there for a minute. There we go. That should be a little bit better. And by the sound of it, the rain had stopped at some point. But I can still smell it. It's probably a matter of time till another rain shows up. Navigating in a 3D space is done with the use of the mouse movement and keyboard shortcuts. To be able to work in three-dimensional space that Blender uses, you must be able to change your viewpoint as well as the viewing direction of the scene. While we will describe the 3D view editor, most of the other editors have similar functions. For example, it is possible to pan and zoom in the image editor. Like, no shit, that's pretty common on any form of editor stuff like this. Tips: mouse button and number pad. If you have a mouse with less than 3 buttons or a keyboard without a number pad, use the keyboard and mouse page of the manual to learn how to use them with Blender. I'm thinking that you would do that with a laptop, for example. But I do prefer to connect my own mouse when it comes to a laptop. I never felt comfortable with that pad itself. Especially when it lacks the 2 buttons down below and you just have to like tap along the bottom to find it, and sometimes they don't even work. So I probably just connect my own mouse to it. Navigation gizmos. The navigation gizmos can be found in the top right of the editor. The 4 buttons listed from top to bottom are as following: zoom the 3D viewport, pans the 3D viewport, toggles the camera view, and toggles the projection. What's the difference between camera and projection? I mean, I hope that explains it later down the line. But now I know the gizmos is this whole section here. Because I wasn't sure what it was referring to when they mentioned it. Orbit, which is a lot of shortcuts. I guess it's depending on how you configure it. Of which is actually pretty similar to Unreal a little bit. I think Unreal does the same thing with one of these. I think the middle mouse button is the same for Orbit. I can't remember right now. Rotate the view around the point of interest. Clicking and dragging middle mouse button on the viewports area. If you start at the middle of the area and move up and down or left and right, the view will rotate around the middle of the area. To change the viewing angle in discrete steps, use number pad 8, which I'm not going to. I'm not going to use my number pad because I'm probably going to have to remap that because it's taking my shortcuts. And number pad 2, or use number pad 4 and number pad 6 to rotate the scene around the global Z-axis from the current point of view. Finally, number pad 9 switches to the position side of the view. Hopefully try and do everything with the mouse, because number pads, that side of the just didn't get my hands on a Stream Deck. All my shortcuts are not on a number pad. I do not want to mess with that. There we go, YouTube, stop freezing. I don't know why YouTube player automatically pauses itself. Or if the emulated 3-button mouse option is selected, it is in the preference, you can press the and hold Alt while dragging the left mouse button in the viewport area. It's a good thing that they have the mouse alternative, which is well relied for the most part. Note hotkeys. Remember that most hotkeys effect are active areas. The one that has focus. So check that the mouse cursor is the area you want to work in before you use the hotkey. Also see these two documentations, of which they're later down the line. Roll rotates the view camera around the local Z-axis in 50 degrees increment step. Wait, what? It's not dynamic? Like if I were to move it in the Z-axis, it like snap to a 15 degrees every single time? I don't like the sound of that. I'd rather like, if I move I want to like be able to move just a tiny bit, like less than 15 degrees say. Just to get a better view of maybe some tiny spot. I hope that it does the way I'm describing it and not like snaps to those 15 degrees. Pan, move the view up and down, left and right. To pan the view, hold down the shift and drag the middle mouse button in the 3D viewport. For discrete steps, use the hotkey control number pads. With the orbiting, Note you can replace control with shift. If your input device has no middle mouse button, you can hold shift alt while dragging with the mouse. I guess that would be the other case would be that the middle mouse button is broken, or you're using a mouse from what, the 80s? So even by the 90s, I believe the middle mouse button already existed, at least for most mouse. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I do remember the mouse we had back in the 90s on our first computer did have a the mouse wheel at least. I don't remember if it had a button, but I know the wheel, it did have a mouse wheel. I don't know when the middle mouse button was actually integrated. Can't remember right now. It's been so long. It makes me feel old actually, and I'm not that old. Zoom. Move the camera forward and backward. You can zoom in and out by holding the control and dragging the middle mouse button. To zoom in with discrete steps, use the hotkey number plus and minus. If you have a wheel mouse, you can zoom in by rotating the wheel, which is what I'll do. I'm more comfortable with the mouse wheel. Hint, if you get lost in a 3D space, which is not uncommon, two hotkeys will help you. Home changes the view so that you can see all objects, view frame all, while number pad period okay. Number period zooms the view to the currently selected object when in perspective mode. View frame selected. Zoom region. The zoom region tool allows you to specify a rectangular region and zoom into that. The region fills the 3D viewport. Like this transition again, that sounds wrong. Zoom into you mean into that region. Like this should not be there. So typo error right there. You can access this through the shortcuts. Then Shift B. Then left mouse button, click and drag the rectangle to zoom into it. Relatively, you can zoom out using the middle mouse button or wheel. Dolly zoom? Dolly zoom? I've never heard of this. In most cases, it's sophisticated to zoom the view to get a closer look at something. However, you can notice that at a certain point you cannot zoom any closer. This is because Blender stores the viewpoint that is close to the orbiting and zooming. It works well in many cases, but sometimes you want to move the viewpoint in a different place. This is what DALL-E supports, allowing you to transport the view from one place to another. You can dolly back and forth by holding down Shift Control and dragging with the middle mouse button. I don't see when I would use this. I don't entirely get it either. What what's actually doing? Trying to process this. I know there's a maximum zoom in at some point, but I don't get what the dolly actually does. What case would you do this? Can't think of when and how you would apply this. That's why I don't get what the dolly is there for. Maybe later down the line when I get to more practical stuff, I'll understand it. Or if somebody does understand and knows more about that, do please let me know. It'll be in the chat or down in the comments below if you're watching the video. And let's see. Let's finish up with this part and then we'll call it. Because we are gotten pretty. We did get quite a bit out of the way. I just feel like it is hot for me, and I still want to do the Krita section. So let's finish up the navigation part of this. Fly, walk, navigation. There are cases where it's preferable to navigate with first-person control, especially for large environments, such as the architectural mode. In this case, orbiting around the view center is limiting, while zoom, pans, and dollies can be used in convenience. It's inconvenient. With walk flight navigation, you can navigate around the scene while view rotation is performed from the camera location, of which I'll probably be relaying this a lot if I'm moving like from one part of the object to another. I'll probably be more on fly than walk. Just flying around whatever it is I'll be making on Blender. Once I get to that part. In the preference editor, select the navigation method you want to use as default when invoking the view navigation operation. Alternatively, you can call the individual methods from the view navigation menu. Common use cases for walk fly include navigation. This can be a quick way to navigate a large scene, like maybe you're making a giant city in Blender or something. And of which, why would you could probably just make the individual structures and put them on later, connect them together, or maybe moving over to the Unreal Engine to do something more with that. Ow, I just hit my hand on my desk. Sorry. Camera placement. When activated from the camera view, this will move the camera to recording animation, running from a camera with auto keyframe, and playing animation will record the motion as you made it, allowing you to record a walkthrough. Walk navigation. On activation, the mouse pointer will move the center of the view and the cross marker will appear. This navigation method behaves similar to a first-person navigation system available in most 3D World games. It works with combination of the keyboard arrow keys and mouse movement, or maybe WSD, which would be preferred. Shortcuts: move the mouse in the direction you want to look, move around or arrow keys or WSD, move forward, backwards, straight, left, and right. Good. I'm used to this over the arrow keys. Arrow keys are more of the old games before this became a standard. Which I don't know what game made this a standard. But I'm glad they did. Teleport, spacebar. But how do you determine where you're teleporting? Like, are you teleporting where you're aiming? Or what? How do you determine that? This moves you to the location of the cross. Okay, yes, never mind. It's playing here. It's just usually a little more offset by camera weight value set in the preference. Jump V only available if gravity is on, in which case then you'll be in flight mode then. Move up and down, Q and E only available if gravity is off. Toggle gravity, tab. Changes the movement speed, wheel up or number plus to increase the movement speed for this open session. Wheel down to reduce the speed. Shift, hold shift to speed up the movement temporarily. Alt, holding down Alt to slow down the movement temporarily. I'll put in more on those than the other two. Unless I'm making something huge. When you're happy with the new view, click left mouse button to confirm. In case you want to go back from where you started, press escape or right mouse button as usual. If the default value, speed, mouse sensitivity needs adjustment for the project, in the preference you can select a few options for the navigation system. Flying navigation, which I'll probably use the most. On activation, the cursor is centered inside the rectangle that defines the safe region. When the cursor is outside the region, the view will rotate pan. Shortcuts: move the mouse outside the safe region in the direction you want to look. Move the view towards, backwards, mouse wheel to speed up, mouse wheel to slow down. If the view is already moving forward, wheel down, number pad will eventually stop the movement and then move backwards, similar to a car. Arrow keys, S and D, can also be used to adjust acceleration and direction of the camera movement. Middle mouse button, drag to pan the view. In this case, the view can move laterally on its local axis. At the moment you drag the mouse, shift precision slows the movement. Control disable rotation. While held, the view rotation doesn't influence the flight direction. This allows you to fly past an object, keep it centered in the view even as you fly away from it. Click or press spacebar to keep the current view and exit fly navigation. In case you want to go back from where you started, press escape or right mouse button. And that is it for that part. But, I think I've gone long enough. Yeah, I'm already at the 1 hour and a half. I feel good enough with what I've progressed so far with Blender. Right now, of course, I am gonna end this recording part for later uploading it over to YouTube. Mainly for those that don't really care much about the Krita side, and for the parts I struggled to understand or didn't understand it properly, maybe leave it down in the comments below an explanation, or maybe a link to some video that explains it better. Remember, I'm just starting with this, I'm still learning, and I am no artist. I still don't know how things are gonna go once I start actually doing stuff on Blender, and how much I will actually remember. But yeah, that is gonna be it for this Blender section. I'm just gonna do a little quick YouTube outro, because I am doing this live as well, so might as well let the ones watching know the stream is not ending. I'm just doing a little YouTube outro. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye. And recording for that segment is stopped. Okay, so I am gonna switch over to the starting soon again for the Krita part of the stream, so don't go anywhere. The reason I'm going to that, because then I'm going to go into studio mode, change to the other website, and also close Blender, which I had open just in case, and open Krita just in case I need to do something there. So I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Hello there everyone, and welcome to another one of my Krita learning sessions, where I'm going through the Krita documentation to learn how to use it. For those that don't know what Krita is, it is a Photoshop-like software, but it's free. Why don't I do Photoshop? Well, I can't pay for it, that's why. Photoshop is not free. And for some reason Krita is not launching right now. Oh, yeah, it did launch. Never mind. I want to have that open just in case during the documentation, in case of it more like hands-on, like maybe try to do this or try to do that, and things like that. I just need to set the screen capture just in case. Go, and let's transition over to it because I already have it open. There we go. Just let me get the YouTube music going so that it's not just my voice that you listen to. At least there's some ambient music going on in the background. And okay, last we left off, we kind of skipped over a few things because, well, there was a whole if you're coming from another drawing software, which I advise you maybe have a quick look at it to see maybe what the differences are between one and the other. The drawing tablet, I skipped it again because I don't have a drawing tablet, nor can I afford one at the current time. We left off here on loading and saving brushes. I'm guessing this would be useful if you're like going back and forth between the specific brushes, but there's always those that you use way too often. Then yeah, you probably want like a quicker way to get to it. That's what I'm assuming just from the title alone. But we shall see. For those that are watching the video part of the Krita instead of the live stream, these tend to last roughly an hour, or maybe a little under an hour, because I'm mainly trying to learn the Blender, mainly, since I'm doing going through both the documentation to learn to do both. The reason why I'm doing that is, well, I would probably need some kind of image to reference from when I start making the 3D stuff, and well, at some point I would like to be able to make my own stuff. And who knows, maybe if I get well enough with Krita, I can maybe make my own 2D avatar sometime in the future. Who knows? We shall see. I say we shall see, because I cannot draw for shit. I am not a very good artist. I am not an artist, actually. And I know it'll take practice. I'll probably be drawing some horrendous stuff, so don't expect anything that looks even remotely good. This part does seem to be lengthy, so we shall see how far we get within the hour. For those that hear like the background noise, aside from the music and myself, that is probably my fan, and I'm not going to slow them down or turn it off because it is very hot for me today. It is summer for me right now at the moment of this video. And live stream if you're watching it live. So, let's get this. Oh, before I forget, of course, gotta promote my affiliate. Down in the description below there's a link to a Power Shop where you can purchase energy mixes, sleep mixes, hydration shakers, and even stickers. If you use code BLACKHEART, you will get a 10% discount and help support the channel in the process. Now let's actually get into the lessons. Loading and saving brushes. In the real world, when painting or drawing, you don't use one tool. You use pencils, erasers, paint brushes, different types of paints, ink, crayons, etc. All these have different ways of making marks. Excuse me. Hold on. I had to fix them YouTube music just now. Hopefully the music's not too loud. In a digital program like Krita, you have something similar. We call this a brush engine. And much like how cars have different engines that give different feels when driving, or how pencils make distinctly different marks than roller ball pens, different brushes engines have totally different feels. The brush engine have a lot of different settings as well, so you can save those settings into presets. Unlike Photoshop, Krita makes a difference between brush tip and brush preset. Okay. For those that know what it's referring to, maybe explain it to me down whether it will be in the chat or down in the comments below if you're watching the video. Tips are only a stamp of short, while the preset uses the tip and many other settings to create the full brush. Um, Tips are only a stamp of sorts. What is this referring to? Since I never use Photoshop, I don't really know what's that's actually meaning. And I'm no artist either, so that's why I may struggle with that part of it. I don't know. Let's carry on. The brush setting drop down. To start, the brush setting editor panel can be accessed in the toolbar between the chosen brush preset button on the right and the fill pattern bottom on the left button on the left. Alternately, you can use the F5 key to open it. So I guess it's referring to this and this. When you open brush setting editor panel, you will see something like this. The tour of the brush settings drop down menu. Okay, so this is actually the drop down menu. Never mind with what I said previously. The brush setting drop down is divided into 6 areas. Section A, General Information. This contains the preset icon, Live Brush Preview, and preset name, the engine name, and several buttons for saving, renaming, and reloading. Krita brush settings are stored into the metadata of the 200 by 200 PNG, the KPP file, of which I don't even know what that is, where the image in the PNG file becomes the preset icon. This icon is used everywhere in Krita and is useful for differentiating brushes in ways that the live preview cannot. The live preview shows the stroke on the current brush as a little S-curve wiggle, with pressure going non-existent on the left and increasing to full pressure as it goes to the right. And in the background is my dad's chihuahua going bananas. They must have let him out so he doesn't wake up the baby. My baby brothers tends to wake up because of that popper. It can thus show the effect of the pressure. Trying angles, distance, fade, and fuzzy depth sensors, but none of the others. For some brush engines, it cannot show anything from the colors Smudge, filter brush, and clone tool. It shows the alternating line pattern because these brush engines use the pixels already on canvas to change their effect. In other words, like, this is what it's talking about, I'm guessing. Like, these images will be the one changing. Okay, right here. After the preset name, there is a button for renaming the brush. This will save the brush as a new brush and deactivate the previous brush. Engine. The engine of the brush is the underlying programming that generates the stroke for the brush. What that means is the different brush engines have different options and different results. You can see this as the difference between using crayons, pencils, and ink, but because computers are math devices, most of our brush engine uh, pro- produce different things in a more mathematical way. For most artists, the mathematical nature doesn't matter as much as the different textures and marks each brush engine, and each brush engine has its own distinct flavor and use. You can be further and can be further customized by modifying the options. Reloading. If you change a preset, an icon will appear behind the engine name. This is the reloaded the brush preset button. You can use it to revert to the original brush setting. Wait, what? The icon will appear behind the engine name. Let me have a look. Engine. I can't really see where that would be. Let's see. Let's carry on. Saving a preset. That part I did see. On the right, there's Save New Brush and Overwrite buttons. Save New Brush preset will take the current preset and all its changes and save it in a new preset. If no changes was made, you will be making a copy of the current preset. Override brush. This will only enable if there are any changes. Pressing this will override the current preset with the new settings, keeping the name and the icon intact. It will always make the timestamp backup in the resource folder. I guess in case you screwed up and you actually want to go back to where it was. Save new presets will call up the following window with a mini scratch pad and all sorts of options to change the preset icon. The image on the left is the mini scratch pad. You can draw on it with a current brush, allowing a small modification on the fly. I guess this will help if you're making one to kind of have an idea what exactly you made by actually drawing something here. That is good to know that I can actually do that. Brush name. The name of the brush. This is also used for the KPP file, whatever that stands for. If there's already a brush with that name, it will effectively override it. So be careful with the naming. Load existing thumbnail. This will load the existing thumbnail inside the preset. Load scratchpad thumbnail. This will load the dashed area from the big scratch pad, section C, into the thumbnail area. Load image. With this, you can choose an image from disk to load in as a thumbnail. Load from icon library. This opens up the icon library. clear thumbnail. This will make the mini scratchpad white. The icon library to make making preset icon faster. Krita got an icon library. Okay. Just drinking a little bit of water. It allows you to select tool icons and the optional small labels. When you press OK, it will load the resulting combination into the mini scratch pad, and you can draw in the stroke. I guess I find this useful for you're making something specific, but you're not entirely sure what it will look like. Then you use one of these along with the image. Then yeah, you would have a better idea what you're actually loading in. If you go to your resource folder, there's a folder there called preset icon, and in this folder there are tool icon and emblem icon. You can add semi-transparent PNG there, and Krita will load these into the icon library as well, so you can customize your icons even more. That's pretty nice to know. I don't see myself using that at all. I'm pretty satisfied with what I'm seeing here. At the top right of the icon library, there are 3 sliders. They allow you to adjust the tool icon. The top 2 are the same hue and saturation as the HSL adjustment, of which I have no idea what HSL stands for. I don't know what that is. I don't recall it actually saying what it is. If anyone does know, please do let me know what it stands for. And the lower slider is a super simple level filter. This is done this way because the levels filter allows maintaining the darkest shadows and brightest lights on the top icon, making it much better for quick adjustments. If you're done with everything, you can press save in the save new brush preset dialog, and Krita will save the new brush. Section B. Oh, that was just section 8? Man, that was long. At least this next section is not as long. Section B, the preset chooser. The preset chooser is much the same as the preset docker and the preset drop down on the F6 key. It's unique in that it allows you to filter by engine, and it also where you can create brushes from the engine from scratch. Probably won't be messing a lot to that. I'll probably use what's already there. I guess I'm no artist. I'm pretty sure I will struggle and make way too many mistakes and end up losing valuable time. So I'll focus on using what it already provides me. But it's good to know that for those that actually know what they're doing, that they can actually just make their own changes to how the engine actually works. It is by default collapsed, so you will need to press the arrow on the top left of the brush engine to show it. The top drop down is set to all by default, which means it shows all engines. It then shows a tag section where you can select the preset list, and the search bar. Underneath that there's a plus icon, which when pressed gives you a full list of Krita engines, which selecting an engine from the list will show you the brushes and for that engine. The trash can icon does the same as it does in the preset docker, deletes or rather deactivates a preset, so it won't show up in the list. Section C, the scratch pad. When you tweak your brushes, you want to be able to check what each setting does. That's why to the right of the setting drop down there is a scratch pad. It is by default collapsed, so it will have to be pressed the arrow at the top right of the brush, selecting it to show. When saving a new preset, you can choose to get the icon from the scratch pad. This will load the dash area into the mini scratch pad of the Save New Brush preset dialog. The scratch pad has 5 buttons underneath it. These are in order from 1. Fill the area with brush preset icon. 2. Fill area with current image. 3. Fill area with a gradient, useful for smudge brushes. Fill area with background color. Reset area with white. Section D, the options list. The options, as stated above, are different per brush engine. These represent the different parameters, toggles, and knobs that can turn to make the brush preset unique. For a couple of options, the main thing to change are sliders and checkboxes, but for a lot of them they use curves instead. Some options can be toggled as noted by the little checkbox next to them, but others like flow and opacity are fundamental to how the brush works, that they are always on. The little padlock icon next to the options is for locking brush. This has its own page. And oh boy, section E against a very, very lengthy one. Let's check on the time. Yeah, I think I can go for another one. It's only been like half an hour, so I guess I can finish this loading and saving section and then call it there. Let me drink some water. If anyone wants to drink water, go on ahead. Stay hydrated, people. Take care of yourselves. Section E, option configuration widget. Where section D is the list of options, section E is the widget where you can change things. Using sensor curves, one of the big important things that makes art unique to the artist who creates it is the style of the stroke. Strokes are different because they differ in the speed, rotation, direction, and amount of pressure put into the stylus, of which I have no stylus, it'll just be my mouse. Because those are so important, we would want to customize how these values are understood in details. The best way to do so is to use curves. Curves show up with the size widget. For example, with the inking brush, we want to have size mapped to pressure. Just toggling the size option is the option list will do. In the option list will do that. However, different people have different wrists and thus will press differently on their stylus, which I don't have any. Hope there's something regarding the mouse at some point. Someone who presses softly tends to find it easy to make thin strokes, but very difficult to make thick strokes. Conveniently, someone who presses hard on their stylus naturally will have a hard time making thin strokes, but easy to make the thick strokes. And I'm gonna struggle with both strokes. I am sure about that. Such a situation can be improved by using the curves to map pressure to output thinner lines or thicker ones. The brush settings curves even have quick curve buttons for those on the for these at the top. Someone who has a hard time making small strokes should try the second to last concave button, while one who has a hard time making thick strokes should try the third option, the S shape. I'm going to show that so that we know what they're talking about, if it's even visible somewhere. We're in the E section. I guess he's talking like about this, maybe? No, that's angle. This is diameter, ratio, horizontal, vertical, spike, randomness. I'm not entirely sure. This will probably take some experimenting to properly understand what it's actually talking about. Let's go back to where we were. Which was right here. Underneath the curves widget, there are two more options. Share a curve across all settings. This is for the list of sensors. Toggling this will make all the sensors use the same curve. Unchecked, all checked sensors will have separate curves. This includes how the multiple values of the sensor curves are used. The curves always go from 0 to 1.0. So if the curve output is 0.5 and the other is 0.7, then will multiply the two values. Adding will add the two values to a maximum of 1. So even if it surpasses that to 1.2, it won't matter. It'll just cap at 1. Maximum will compare the two and pick the largest, so that in the case of 5.0 and 0.5 and 0.7, the result is 0.7. Minimum will compare the two and pick the smallest, in this case 0.5. Difference will subtract the smallest from the largest. It's maybe better to see with the following example. Why is there like a big gap here? That's weird. There's one, two. There's like a major difference between each one. Okay. Let's carry on. The first two are regular. The rest are different multiplication types. That will explain why they're so varied. The first one is a brush with size set to the distance sensor. 2 is a brush size set to the fade sensor. 3 is the size is calculated from the fade and distance sensors multiplied. 4 the size is calculated from the fade and distance sensors added to each other. Notice how thick it is. The size and the 5, the size takes the maximum value of the fade and distance sensor. 6, the size it takes the minimum value for the value of the fade and distance sensor. 7, the size is calculated by having the largest of the values subtracted with the smallest of the value. Man, it really makes a difference. F. A miscellaneous option. Eraser switch size. This switches the brush to a separate store size when using the E key. Erasers switch opacity, same as above, but with the eraser opacity. Temporarily save tweaks to preset. This enables 30 preset stores the tweaks you make as long as this session of Krita is active. After that, they revert to default. 30 presets can be recovered by the icon in the top left of the preset. Okay, strange name for it, but yeah, I think I understand it. The icon encircled in red in the top left of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th preset in first row indicate it is dirty, meaning there are tweaks made by the preset. Okay, so that's how I know when it's dirty and it needs a bath. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Instant preview. This allows you to toggle instant preview on the brush. The instant preview has a super secret feature. When you press the instant preview label and then right click on it, it will show you the threshold slider. This slider determines at what brush size instant preview is activated for the brush. This is useful because all brushes can be slower, which instant preview so the threshold ensures it only activates when necessary. Okay. Excuse me. Is the heat probably getting to me? I am starting to get tired. But we are almost at the end of this. At least of this section. The on-canvas brush setting. There is an on-canvas brush editor. If you open the pop-up palette, there should be an icon on the bottom right. Press that to show the on-canvas brush setting. You can see several sliders here to quickly make small changes. At the top of it shows the currently active preset. Next to that is the setting button. Click that to get a list of setting that can be shown and organized for the given brush engine. You can use the up and down arrow to order their position, and then left and right arrow to add or remove the list. You can also drag and drop. Excuse me, just now when I kind of like has paused because I felt like something actually got on my eye. Let me clean it up real quick. Okay, we're good. Let me drink something a little bit. Yeah, let's carry on. Where did I leave off? I think I left off on that. Making a brush preset. Now, let's make a simple brush to test the waters with. Because I don't have any project open, nor do I'm not gonna make any. I'm not gonna mess with it this time, even though this is hands-on. I'll probably experiment with it once I actually start like trying something. Getting a default from the brush engine. Press first open the setting with the F5 key. YouTube, get my music going, please. Then press the arrow on the upper left to open the preset, but the preset chooser. There is a plus icon to get a list of engines. For this brush, we're going to make a pixel brush. Example, making an ink brush. Draw on the scratch pad to see the curves. Brush, okay, I think I might actually need to open something. How do we start something without actually saving it though? Or without actually creating a file? Give me a second. Okay, I did actually start something without actually saving it. So let me make the browser smaller so you guys can actually see what I'm seeing, at least temporarily. Hopefully it's not too small. Let me see again. I wanted to press the F5 key. And okay. Hopefully it is actually capturing it. It is not capturing it. Give me a sec while I mess with this. maybe it's because I have it like hidden. Okay, why can I not get it to capture? Yeah, I have the right one selected. Okay, there we go. I don't know why it uses a different method of capture, but I got it to work. You guys can now see what I'm actually seeing. Now, the next step would be draw on the scratch pad to see the current brush, what the current brush looks like. If done correctly, you should have a 5 pixel white brush that has a pressure set to opacity. Okay, I'm just making just something random on this is a scratch card, I believe. Let us turn off the opacity first. Click on opacity option, and in the right hand list, the settings should now be changed to a big curve. This is the sensor curve. So I want to go to opacity. Where was it again? Oh, I just had to click too far. On the right hand list, I mean left. This is why I would prefer to have like an image to show me. Why is this in Spanish? Maybe that's part of the problem. Hang on just a sec. Let me close this real quick and reset the language. If I can locate where it is. Just a sec. Here it is. No, come on, damn it. I was sure I had set this to English previously. Why is there only British English and not just standard English? Okay, I need to reset the application real quick. Just let me close it for a little bit and reset the thing so that it becomes English. Maybe then I'll actually find it. Whoops, I misclicked somewhere. This might cause some issues. There we go. Just waiting for it to actually open up again. going to open this. Go back to new file, don't save. Okay, now it is in English, so no, wrong one. F5, there we go. Let's draw this again, and now I should be able to find opacity a little bit easier. Diamond, ratio, fade, spacing, precision. Okay, here is opacity. And what did I say we needed to do again? Let's turn off the opacity first. Click on the option. The setting should now be changed to a big curve. In this, this is the sensor curve. Uncheck enable pen settings. Okay. Test the scratch pad. There still seems to be something affecting opacity. This is due to the flow option. Okay. Select the flow option from the list on the right hand. Flow is like opacity, except that flow is per pad and opacity is per stroke. Again, I went too far. Uncheck the enable pen settings checkbox here as well and test again. But it is already unchecked. Wait, what? Uncheck enable pen settings. Now you should be getting somewhere towards the ink brush, but flow and opacity both now disabled. If I turn this on, yeah, it was already off. And I don't really see a difference. Did I do something wrong? Getting somewhere towards the ink brush. It is still too small, however, and kinda grainy looking. Click on brush tips in the brush engine options. Brush tip. Let's leave that there just in case to see the what changes. Here, the diameter is the size of the brush tip. You can touch the slider, change the size, or right click it, and type in the value. Set it to 25 and test again. It should be much better. Set what again? Diameter. Set it to 25. Okay, now it's actually a more visible change. Hopefully you guys can actually still see it. You I should be able to. Or is it not showing? It's not showing for... let me refresh this thing. There we go. Now it's actually working. Why was it like all blank? What the hell happened there? I did not notice it was like that. But, well, there it is. Okay. Now to make the brush feel a bit softer, turn down the fade parameter to about 0.9. This will give the brush mask a softer edge. Wait, what? Turn the fade parameter to about 0.9. But the fade has 2 parameters. It's in... Oh, okay, no, when I edit one, it edits all of it. And... is it softer? Kinda. Not entirely. Well, it is just a very small difference, but if I go into more, like even less fade, it'll look maybe even softer. But I'm gonna go with what's actually telling me. If you test again, you will notice that fade doesn't seem to have much effect. This has to do with the spacing of the dabs. The closer they are together, the harder the lines. This is. By default, this is 0.1, which is a bit low. If you set it to 10 and test, you will see what kind of effect spacing has. The auto checkbox changes the way the spacing is calculated, and auto spacing with values of 0.8 is the best value for inking brush. Don't forget that you can right click to type the value. So I want to change spacing. There it is, spacing set to 0.8. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, now that looks like more like a bunch of dots. That doesn't look exactly smoother. Now, when you test, the fade seems to have a normal effect, except that the really small size, which looks jagged, to get rid of that, check the anti-aliasing checkbox. If you test again, the line should be much nicer. The anti-aliasing checkbox is already checked. Checked, and it is already checked. So, okay, how does this look without it? Hardly any difference. I don't see much of a difference. But at least I can see how each one of these actually affects each thing. Like, we started with like really thick and just getting thinner and thinner, and then just a bunch of dots. saving the new brush. When you are satisfied, go to upper left and select Save New Brush preset. You will get the save dialog name brush, something like my preset. Then load from icon library. To get the icon library, choose the nice tool icon and press OK. I am not gonna mess with that. I'm not gonna save this heap of junk because I don't see why I would. Like at the current time, I don't see any need for this. So let's actually cancel out of that. And now I need to actually hide this because it's actually gone. I don't know why it was still visible. I don't know it's still showing because I did already close that. Oh well. Let's just carry on. Let me just make the browser big again so you guys can see a little clearer what I'm actually doing. Or is what I'm actually going through. The icon will be loaded into the mini scratch pad on the left. Now doodle a nice stroke next to it if you feel you messed up. Just go back to the icon on the library to load a new icon. Finally, press save and your brush should be done. You can further modify your ink brush by changing the amount of pressure you need to put on the brush to make it full size. To do this, you will select size option, press the pressure sensor from the list next to the curve. The curve should look like a straight line. And now if you want the brush to get big with a little pressure, tick on the curve to make a point and drag the point to the upper left. The more the point is to the upper left, the more extreme the effect. If you want instead the brush that you have to press really hard and get a full size drag, the dot to the lower right, drag the dot to the lower right. Such a brush is useful for fine detail, but forget to save the changes and your brush will don't forget to save the changes to your brush when done. I didn't do any of that because I don't intend to save that brush. I have no use for it. If I'm going to save a brush, a custom brush, it'll be something that I know I'm going to use every once in a while or very often, particularly often. But I'm not gonna get to that like immediately, not unless I fully need it. Like I said, I'm no artist. Like I'm gonna start slow, making the fine line look even softer by using flow option. To do this, select the flow option and turn back the enable pen settings checkbox. Now if you test this, it is indeed a bit smoother, but maybe a bit too much. Click on the curve to make a dot and drag the dot to the top left halfway the horizontal of the first square of the grid. Now if you test, the thin line are much softer, but but the hard you press, you mean the harder you press, the harder the brush becomes. Like here you got it right, here you got it wrong. It's missing the right there. Sharing brushes. Okay, so you've made a new brush and want to share it. There are several ways to share a brush preset. The recommended way to share brushes and preset is by using the resource bundle system. We have detailed instructions on how to use them on the resource management page. I think that's gonna be useful if like maybe I need a specific brush, I don't know how to make it, or maybe I'm trying to make it and I failed, then maybe I can go somewhere where maybe somebody made it and it's actually sharing it, hopefully for free and to the public, I believe, since the software is for free as well. And then I could probably pick it up from there, which would be nice if the community is sharing like different like custom brushes for everyone to use. However, there are various old-fashioned ways of sharing the brushes that can be useful when improving and importing and downloading very old packs. Sharing a single preset, there are 3 types of resources that a single preset can take. A paint o preset, paint up preset, that's kind of a mouthful to say, file. This is a preset proper with the icon and the curves stored inside. The brush file, this is the brush tip. When using masked brushes, there are 2 of these. A pattern file, this is when you are using textures. So when you have a brush that uses unique predefined tips for either brush, tip, and mask brush, or unique textures, you will need to share those resources as well with the other person. Come on, YouTube, not just cancel out my playlist all of a sudden. There we go. Where was I? Alright, up here. So when you have a brush that uses unique predefined tips for either brush, tips, or mask brush, or unique textures, you will need to share those resources as well with the other person. To find those resources, go to the settings, manage resources, open resource folder. There, the preset files will be inside paint or preset, and the brush tip inside brushes, and the textures inside patterns. Importing a single KPP file. Now, if you want to use a single preset, you should go to the preset chooser on the F6 key and press the folder icon. There you will give the file dialog, navigate to KPP file, and open it to import it. If there are brush tips and patterns coming up the file, coming with the file, do the same with pattern via the pattern tucker. For the brush tips, go to the setting drop down at F5 and then go to the brush tip options. There select predefined brush and then the import button to pull up the file dialog. You can also use this import button in settings, manage resources. Sharing via zip, old-fashioned. Sharing via zip should be replaced with resource bundles, but older brush packs are stored in zip files. Using a zip with a relevant file, go to settings, manage resources, open resource folder to open the resource folder. Then open up the zip file, copy the brush, paint up, reset, and pattern folder from the zip file to the resource folder. You should get a prompt to merge the folders. Agree to this. Restart Krita, enjoy your brushes. And that took longer than expected. Like, definitely longer than an hour as it should have been. But I did want to get this section out of the way. Let's hop on over to the next one so that I can have the name for when I forget about it. I'm not gonna go through this just yet, but this looks like something I would use often, the on-canvas brush editor. But let me stretch a bit. That is gonna be it for today, for the Krita video and the stream of course. So there were a few parts which I felt lost. Whether I noticed like some typos, like some probably spelling errors that were making it a little bit confusing to read. But there were also a few things I felt that I wasn't actually picking up very well. I did mention already on those. Like, if you do understand it, then maybe explain to me down in the description, down in the comments below. If maybe there's a link to any video that explains it with a little better or more details, also do share the link as well on the comments below. Like I said, I've never used Photoshop or anything like this before. This is like my first time, which is why I'm going through the documentations first. And I am surprised that it actually had me do something like hands-on. I'm actually quite satisfied. Hopefully there's more like that stuff. And of course I hope Blender does the same, since like I said, for those watching the video, they normally stream both Blender and Krita together and then separate the videos later. But that is gonna be it for today. Let me just do a quick little YouTube outro, because afterwards I'm gonna do a meteor shower. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye. And recording stopped. Let me switch to the other overlay, because I am going to look for someone to meteor shower over on Restream. I don't know how many people are actually watching over on Kick. I don't know how to do meteor showers anyways. I mean raids, nor do I know who could raid over on Kick, so that maybe later down in the future. So let's right, let me mute the desktop audio so that whoever I'm checking out for meteor showers doesn't like cause too much trouble with the audio, nor to mention I don't want any like copyright issues or anything like that. Let's see, we got somebody actually doing Devil May Cry 2. Ooh, that is a game I've not played in such a long time. We got Himes doing some Minecraft. Looks, not sure if it's modded Minecraft. Kind of looks modded. I might be wrong. Somebody doing something I don't recognize. What's the title again? Ancient Dungeon. I do not recognize this. It is a VR game then again, so that's probably why I don't recognize it. I don't have VR. Let's see. Kilakuma is actually doing art. So, might as well meteor shower this person. And let's just let me get the name real quick. Once VStream decides to actually load, please. Okay, there we go. Now it's loading. So VStream, we're gonna meteor shower Kilakuma, and that is gonna be it for today. Where is it? Okay, there it is. / meteor shower Kilakuma, and okay. So that is gonna be it for today. This whole Blender Krita stream is gonna be like every Tuesday. Right now I'm gonna end it because one, I've gone for a little longer than originally planned, and two, it is hot. I am actually starting to get tired because of the heat. So for my own sake, I'm gonna end it there. So thank you all for watching. I hope you'll enjoy today's stream, and I hope to see you all next time. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.